Hi, we are Sandy and Troy. In 2021, we decided to hit the road to begin Troy's tour of bicycling across America. Following a plan of riding west to east, we left Maryland and headed out to Oregon. It took us 7 days to get there, taking only stops for sleeping. We went through some fabulous states across the northern part of the U.S., and once we reached the Pacific coast, the riding was on. We are part-time campers, so this journey to ride across the country has been divided into 30-day tours with hopes of completion in about 5 years, unless, of course, we start going twice a year. The first year, 2021, Troy rode about 700 miles through Oregon, Idaho, and ending in Wyoming. We stayed in park campgrounds, private campgrounds, and KOA campgrounds, moving about every 1 to 2 days. I think we stayed in almost 15 campgrounds once we were done. After the riding was completed, we did some sightseeing in Yellowstone, then headed south to visit some family, and then began the trek back east to get home. We made a pit stop in Pendleton, Oregon at the Pendleton Hat Company so Troy could get a custom handmade cowboy hat. In 1872, Yellowstone became our country's first national park. It sits on over 2 million acres of land with 10,000 hydrothermals, including geysers, and here is where the wildlife can roam freely in their natural habitat. Our last stop for the 2021 tour took us home through North Carolina, where we stopped to visit Mount Airy, the birth home and inspiration of the Andy Griffith Show, one of my all-time favorite shows. This past summer, we packed up and headed west again. The original plan was to pick up where we left off, but with the devastating rain and water problems in Wyoming, we skipped a couple of tours and decided to start on the northeastern side of Wyoming and ride through Montana, starting at Devil's Tower, Wyoming. Again, Troy rode 700 miles through small towns, big towns, and even ghost towns. Lucky for us, there was a self-serve gas pump with gas in it. We went through Spearfish, Deadwood, Hill City, the Badlands, Belvedere, Rapid City, Wall, Mitchell, then headed north up through Huron, Arlington, and into Minnesota. Now that's what I call letting off some steam. Badlands National Park covers 244,000 acres and contains one of the world's richest fossil beds. The landscape consists of buttes, canyons, pinnacles, and spires. We saw some amazing wildlife, from bison, bighorn sheep, coyote, fox, longhorn steer, white pelicans, prairie dogs, and that's just to name a few. After this year's tour was completed, we drove over to Michigan's Upper Peninsula to do some sightseeing on Mackinac Island. We spent a couple of days there and then went up into Canada. Yes, the borders are open. We stayed a couple of days in Niagara Falls to relax and unwind before heading home. This year we stayed in about 13 different campgrounds. We're getting really good at setting up and packing up. We stayed at the St. Ignace KOA for a couple of days and took the ferry over to Mackinac Island. We toured the historic Grand Hotel, which is located on this turn-of-the-century island. The main mode of transportation here is either bicycle or horseback, and no cars are permitted on the island. Thanks for visiting, and we welcome you to come along with us as we continue our journeys both far and wide.